Your 9-2 Minnesota Vikings take on the 7-4 New York Jets at US Bank Stadium. And before the season started, I thought this game would be a layup. However, that is far from the case because the Jets are a good football team, and that's before the quarterback change going from Zach Wilson to Mike White. It needed to be done. However, White in his start last week against Chicago, he crushed it. Completed 79% of his passes, 315 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's impressive. And for the Vikings defense, this could go one of two ways. Either this guy is really the greatest thing since sliced bread, or much like a lot of backup quarterbacks who gets their first start that particular year, maybe a flash in the pan. I'm thinking of 2018 Kyle Allen with the Carolina Panthers, or 2013 Matt Castle with the Minnesota Vikings, among others. Oh man, maybe we've got something here, and then they fall back down to earth. Or there's a third option that I completely forgot about with the Vikings defense is a buffet for every quarterback that plays them. You have to prepare for the best and hope for the worst of Mike White. Incredibly poised in the pocket, does a great job of going through his reads and picking the best option available. He can absolutely throw the deep ball. Not afraid to thread the needle. He looked really good last Sunday. And the keys here are your edge rushers. So every, say, 3 drives, whether it's Danielle Hunter or Z, create a second or third and forever snap. If not, prepare for a shootout. Dalvin Tomlinson, he was a full participant in yesterday's practice. His return is much needed on the interior of the defensive line. Harrison Phillips at nose got a tough matchup versus center Connor McGovern. You've got to win the trenches. I never want to see a repeat of the Dallas game again. Mike White, with a clean pocket and time to work with, he's as chill as it gets. And their top 3 weapons in the passing game, rookie Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore now that he has a competent quarterback, and former Vikings tight end Tyler Conklin. The 2 receivers are true deep threats. Conklin underneath. Patrick Peterson, he's allowed to press up. The other corner is not so much. Now, Caleb Evans, he did practice yesterday, so that's a good sign, but ultimately, with the shell defense, if you can't create pressure, it doesn't matter because a quarterback, if he's comfortable with time in the pocket, he will find the open gaps in the zones. Now, at running back, Michael Carter did not practice yesterday, but if he can't go, they still have a nice 1-2 punch with Zonovan Knight and Ty Johnson. Now, last week against Chicago, Knight, he averaged 5 yards per carry. Johnson, 12 yards per carry, albeit he had 5 total attempts the whole game, but still, that's pretty good. And I feel bad for James Robinson because he was super solid in Jacksonville, and Travis Etienne, he gets healthy, so okay, we're going to trade you. And now he's at the bottom of the depth chart with the Jets. Although the last game he played against the Patriots, 1.4 yards per carry, that's tough. But for the Vikings, half the battle defensively is close out on the run plays, clog the run lanes, finish your tackles. But honestly, I'm at the point now where I expect nothing from the Vikings defense. Making plays is no longer an expectation, it's a privilege. Ed Donatel, do whatever the hell you want. And for the Vikings offensively, you couldn't ask for a better matchup, that is, if you have no fandom in this game, than Justin Jefferson versus Sauce Gardner. Arguably the best at their positions. This is what it's all about right here. But for Kirk Cousins, ain't shit gonna change. You ain't gonna shy away from 18. That is, unless Sauce can make it a nightmare for him, which for Jefferson rarely happens. But it's going to be fun to watch. On the other side, DJ Reed is also a problem. Now, guarding Adam Thielen, you do have to pick your battles there because Thielen this year, he tends to ebb and flow. And at linebacker, CJ Mosley is seriously one of the most underrated players I've ever seen in my life. Not just with the Jets, but even back in his days at Baltimore. He doesn't get talked about enough. Against the run, nothing gets past this guy. Now, in pass coverage, that's a different story. And yes, I know he got an interception last week against the Bears, but playing in coverage is not his strength. Now, for Dalvin Cook and the offensive line, you have to know, it is imperative that you know where CJ Mosley is at all times. Also, for the offensive line, Christian Darrisaw, he's still in protocol. Blake Brandel, if he plays again, he's played well up to this point in substitution. He's going to have to keep that same energy taking on right end John Franklin Myers. In fact, the left side, including left guard Ezra Cleveland, they're going to have their hands full going up against John Franklin Myers and Quinnen Williams. I expect for at times Kirk Cousins to be under duress, which means the quick passes must be emphasized. And we need to see the TJ Hawkinson show again. It is critical that he goes off. He has to dominate. If he doesn't, I fear that the Vikings will lose. He's that important in this one. But I predicted before the season a W. I'm going to stick with it, and I was assuming that Zach Wilson would be the quarterback then. Even with Mike White, I'm going to stick with it. Vikings win. Final score prediction 28-24. Your thoughts in the comments section below. We're back at it tomorrow. We'll see you then.